All right, Doc. I told you I had something before we got into the show, and I need to
Sure,
bring
hit
this
it,
up because I
brother.
think this is very important. I think this is very important from the perspective of the era we're in with Bill Watts and what's been going on lately. And I get this feedback either on YouTube or all forms of social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook. And I also get it in our inbox and email, bookingtheterritory@gmail.com. And the question or comment, because it's more of a comment that people really send in, is I am told, we are told, we give Bill Watts too hard of a time during this era. And the reason being is because he was really brought in to lower cost and cut costs. He was not necessarily brought in to be the creative guy. Now, I have some thoughts on this. I've commented a time or two on our YouTube channel about it, more than a time or two, several times. What do you think when I make that comment? What are your initial thoughts
Okay.
about
My
that?
initial thoughts are that's sensible logic and sensible thoughts. And anybody saying that could be right. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, and we certainly aren't the authoritative voices unless we say we are. And when we do, you better fucking believe it.
Okay.
But my sense is that even if that were true, Watts wouldn't have communicated that in the moment because Watts like to be in charge. And I also have a personal belief that even if that were true, he wouldn't have limited himself to just that area of the business because he's going to think he knows best about every single thing. And so, even if that was his mandate and his job remit, then he was going to figure out a way to poke his bald head into other stuff.
Any other thoughts?
We did mention, I believe, last week that perhaps Dusty gets a pass in some of this, and I think that's a possible, a very possible and logical place to explore. Maybe we need to do a little bit more there. I mean, I'm willing to accept that as an explanation as well. Um, and I do think that some of it is our frustration with how this promotion is going right now, and the possibilities that we see on the roster, and we know why he's going to get fired, and that's kind of shitty too. This is a good way to kick him in the shins for lots of stuff. And
Well, it's
he's
not
he's a
shitty
real
why he gets fired. Let's be clear. That
no.
that
It's
rolled
a
off your tongue wrong. He deserved to be fired.
right. That's
He
what I'm
doesn't get
saying is
fired
I'm
according to
saying is
him, but yeah.
we don't like what he said,
Right.
and we also I would suggest that neither one of us and Harper too are a real big fan of bullies, and he's a bully. So that's another. So if we're unfair, maybe we are. I wouldn't hold my breath for it to stop.
Yeah, and again, just to be clear, screw Bill Watts, and he resigned. He claimed, well, officially, I guess he resigned. He was going to get fired if he didn't resign. Whether you believe the versions you hear out there, he was going to get fired. I mean, he was not going to stick around, and he is a bully. And I just don't have a lot of good things to say about him, especially during this era of time. Now, I think you gave some very good thoughts on that related
Thank you.
to
I'm a
it.
thoughtful person.
If I may,
You may.
there is, I don't totally disagree that we're too hard on him from a creative standpoint. I don't disagree also that he was brought in to lower and cut costs, because the fact of the matter is you've heard Arn Anderson and other talents during that era talk about him being brought in to lower the cost. Here's the problem. It's one thing to come in and lower cost. It's another thing to do it at the detriment of your TV product. You are a company that is supposed to make money from not only ad revenue from your TV program, but the asses in the seats. Because at the end of the day, that was still the measure of the business back then. You got to get the people into the building. You got to get the pay-per-view buys and all that stuff. If you are cutting costs so much that you're killing your product that's on television, then your cost cutting has now crossed the line into how creative you could even be, or anyone could be, even if it's Dusty or Ole helping, or whoever is assisting with creative, even if it's a committee. I'm just using those examples. At a certain point, like that, it crosses the line.
If you're stripping things for parts to save money, it's real hard to come back from that.
Yeah, like I would equate it to, like, let's say if you drive, let's say you drive a pickup truck and you're like, all right, the truck can operate without windows for what I do for a living. You know, I haul junk for a living. I don't need windows. Let me take that off. I don't need windshield wipers. It doesn't rain where I live much. I can survive without it. I can even drive without a hood on this truck. You know,
there's two ladies that we know that say that's how we live our lives.
Right.
Anyway.
I drive during the day. I never drive at night for work. I haul stuff. I can, in my truck bed, I'm going to take the headlights off. I'm just stripping things I don't need. Okay. And then you get to the point where it's like, all right, I'm going to take my truck bed off. Whoa. Hold on. You see what I'm saying? Like, you stripped so many parts that eventually you get to the point where, wait, hold on. You were a hauling business, so you needed a truck bed to put junk in or whatever in. And now you don't have a truck bed. You're not a business anymore. You're not viable. You can't even use the tool that you would have used to do the job.
So what you're saying is that he's in the cutting cost business and not the wrestling business at some point.
Well, and there's some truth to that, because, I mean, Arn has said that, like, his job was to cut costs, and they incentivized him to cut the cost. They were like, he told them, don't pay me a salary. You don't have to pay me a salary. Just pay me what I save you. So you're continuously cutting costs. And I get that he wasn't the creative guy, but you made the next point that I was going to make, which was, not only is he stripping down things and cutting costs, but Bill Watts is a tyrant. Like, he's doing things the way he wants to do it. So not only is he cutting costs, do you really think he wasn't a part of the creative? No. This is Bill Watts. This man is just listen to the people that work for him. People that are respected. Arn Anderson. Like, this is not some chopped liver, just piece of shit wrestler. We're talking about one of the best talents of his time. He's like, the dude was a tyrant. He was just saving costs. It wasn't about anything else. Like, and not only that, not only is he trying to save costs, what are Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton doing as we speak right now on this
job into the Bill Watts' kid?
You think that's not a Watts decision?
Come on.
That's so, like, I don't disagree that Bill Watts' ultimate goal or ultimate job was not to cut costs. That certainly was his job. We can see that, it's evident. The problem is he was a part of creative, whether we want to recognize it or not, along with Dusty and others. But he's cutting costs so much that he's destroying. Even if he's not doing creative, he's destroying creative, because even if he's not the creative person, What does a guy like Ole or Dusty have to work with if you're stripping the parts? Bruh, the Steiners are just about done. I mean, so like, and I know Rick is injured and Scott is, got into this argument with Watts. So, but my point is like that's a Bill Watts thing, and that affects the creative. And then again, Arn and Bobby, what he's doing there, like all of these things hurt your ultimate TV product. And we've said it a million times. There's tons of talent here. So I don't disagree with the sentiment that he was brought in to lower and cut costs and not be the creative guy. The problem is what he's doing in lowering cutting costs has ramifications throughout the creative
1,000%
that he's involved in.
Hey,
no matter
and
what you hear.
You don't have to agree with us, man. Don't get mad at us if you don't agree with us. Hey, we just had a conversation, or as close as you're going to get with us, on what y'all think out there, what we think, and hey, there's no right answer.
I got this so much that I partially agree, and I respectfully like hear people who say this. The problem is like it's just not a cut and dry thing. It's just not like it's not the proverbial black and white. There's a lot of gray area with this. Like the decisions he makes impacts all the things you're saying he's not a part of, or we say he's not a part of. Yeah, but he's Bill Watts, dude. He is not. Do you think Bill Watts, when he's talking to Dusty, as much respect as he has for Dusty creatively, do you think Bill Watts is backing down to Dusty?
No.
When they have creative conversations, Bill Watts don't back down to nobody.
There you go. The buck stops with him, and he'll be the first to tell you.
Exactly. Just look at the top rope rule bullshit that we're dealing with. Like, the math equation, the algebraic and
that took years
equation.
Off of my life.
Exactly. So, but no, I want to say this again. Thank you for emailing that. Thank you for posting comments on YouTube about that. Thank you for the social media context about that, because I do think it is a genuinely good thought and comment that deserved a discussion about the situation.